Please say a command.
Call Par Ford.
Calling Par Ford on cell.
Welcome to Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Lent. I have two guests with me today, and we're going to talk about the construction of the Manette Bridge. We're on location at the Boat Shed restaurant downtown Manette, and my guests are going to be Jeff Cook with Washington State Department of Transportation and his counterpart who's doing the construction, which is Bob Edwards with Manson in conjunction with Mowat Construction. Stay with me.
Growing Bremerton Together is made possible by the Par Auto Group, the largest dealer on the Olympic Peninsula. Learn more at www.parauto.com.
Welcome to Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Lent. And with me is Jeff Cook. He's our project engineer. And he's going to be telling us a little bit about the construction of this bridge and what the state's doing on our behalf. So, Jeff, how long have you been working for the Department of Transportation?
Been with the department about 11 years. Started right out of college, grew up in Eastern Washington, moved over to Bellevue, where the jobs were at the time. Worked out of the Bellevue-Nissaquah area, and then I've actually been in the Olympic region for the last 3 years. I've been on this project since the first day of it, which was July 16th of 2010. And before this, I spent a large amount of time up finishing the construction of Hood Canal Bridge up at Jefferson County. And then before that was out in Mason County and Thurston County building Pretty Creek Bridge and some of the bridges on I-5 as well.
So you're kind of the west side. Do you live over on this side?
I actually just moved. My family just relocated down to Olympia. I have small children. My oldest, my daughter, just started kindergarten, so things have been busy here and at home as well.
I bet they have been. Now, this isn't your first bridge project, as you just said. Does this look, and I know that I'm probably, if it was 12 years in the making, the design takes a great deal of time, and then financing of the bridge. So we have about 12 years involved in where we are today for the construction.
That's right. Yeah, it's been quite an effort coming onto the project from the construction phase and to manage the construction aspect of it, learning the history of it from all the development, and there's been a tremendous partnership with the city, with the public to not only the design of the bridge, also in securing funding, and we've gotten a lot of help from local legislators to get that from federal money coming in to replace the bridge. This is a unique structure in that it's not actually in the state highway system, but the state is charged with maintaining it, and then part of that deal became with dealing with the replacement as well. Once the legislature did secure funding for it, the construction phase of it was secured at about $78 million. Based on some design advantages we had and being able to deliver a high quality bridge at the lowest cost possible, therefore the lowest impact to the taxpayer, and great bids by Bob and his crew. It's now sitting about $50 million for construction.
That's great. I do know that it's 81 years old. So with a bridge that old, how did the state determine it was time for this one to have the rebuild?
Every bridge the state oversees, which is there's about 35,000 if you go into the full inventory. We have a bridge preservation office and teams that inspect these bridges on a regular basis. When they get to a certain condition, such as the Manette Bridge, where it becomes more deteriorated, they get on a higher cycle. So Manette, rather than being inspected every 2 years as required by a lot of federal statutes, it was being looked at least every year, sometimes more often than that. And the inspections are everything from looking underneath the deck to see how that's held together, to sending divers down to the bottom of the footings to check the condition of the concrete. This got to the point where it was a bridge rating on a scale of 0 to 100. It was down in the 14 range. It was considered structurally deficient and functionally obsolete are the technical terms for it, and it was time for replacement. The risk being, or the consideration being, the amount that it would have taken to retrofit and repair the bridge would have been at least about the same amount to give a brand new bridge, and the new bridge has a 100-year life cycle, whereas a repair job, patch jobs only last so long.
Good for the city.
Good for the city.
Now, there were some challenges. We have a thriving little Manette community. We have the downtown Bremerton, of course, which we just had a revitalization. Our next phase is the Manette area. So in addition to the design of the bridge, we really worked with you closely in our Public Works Department for a roundabout and some streetscapes and the park that's going to be revitalized. So there are extra things that this bridge actually gets as its completion.
Yeah, it's much more than a peer-to-peer bridge. There's the Washington side. Well, I'll start from the west side and move over. On the Washington side intersection, the intersection is basically the same. It gets a little bit wider in some areas. Then you cross the bridge. The bridge itself has a little bit wider lanes. It has 5-foot shoulders instead of no shoulders. It has a 10-foot sidewalk instead of a 4-foot sidewalk, and now it has a barrier separating traffic from PEDs as well. The south side is going to have a nice railing so pedestrians can look out over the water, look down at the ferries. And then when they get to the east side, there's a roundabout there to keep traffic flowing and moving through the businesses. Shore Drive was closed down, but it makes room for a much larger viewscape, the Whitey Domestead viewscape, so a much larger park area. So it's more of a communal area. Trees are being planted, large architectural rocks are being put in place. Even some of the architecture of the bridge, it's much more than just a block connect point A to point B. It's really trying to connect Manette to Bremerton for the next 100+ years in a way that's not only pleasing to the eye, but really encourages growth and people commuting one side to the other and using both sides of the Narrows Waterway.
And we're hoping to get more bicyclists and more pedestrians.
It certainly is set up for that, yeah.
Now, I know that during the time you've been on the job that our community is very vocal. And because you made yourself available not only to the city, our city council and our planners, but also to the citizens. Mm-hmm. So you've been at some citizens meetings. You've been able to express things that are happening on the bridge, how you've made some changes because of their needs and desires. Yes. And can you tell me just a little bit about one of the things that they were adamant about is that icon, and that's that the bridge itself, the steel structure that gets to be taken down. At one time, you were going to try to remove the entire thing at once. We couldn't find a location for it, so I think that you're going to take it down in pieces. And could you tell us exactly when that's going to start and when you feel that it'll be finished?
Well, yeah, it'll be taken down in pieces simply from the aspect of the lifting capacity of the cranes, and Bob could maybe speak a little more to that as well. It'll be taken down in approximately 200 to 250 ton segments, piece by piece across the bridge. Mm-hmm. Right now, the plan is to take the steel structure off piece by piece, take the concrete piers on the land, take those all the way down to ground level. And right now, we're planning on leaving the 6 in-water piers just above high tide and coming back with a new contract, hopefully soon, to take those all the way down to the mud line below. There was never going to be a time where we're taking down in one section, one at a time, simply because the logistics of moving it, but they're still going to come down in very, very large pieces and taken off site, and then it gets disposed of by the contractor.
And the new contract, when you finish the complete demolition, mm-hmm. is still within our budget of our financing.
Yes.
Now, the financing, is it the nickel? Is it the 15 cents? And the reason I'm bringing that up is that I have here, and you and I saw this, this is the certificate of stock that was sold in 1929. Mm-hmm. It's an original share. No one thought that they could raise enough money to build this bridge. So with tolls and with this stock that was sold, they raised enough money for the first bridge. Right. Do you have any idea how much that first bridge cost?
Oh, I remember what the tolls were, but no, I don't remember the cost.
And the tolls
original.
were?
I think they were charging a nickel to drive. No, a nickel to walk and 25 cents to drive, which in 1930s money was a lot of money.
A lot of money at that time.
It's different than the $4 tolls we're seeing now at the newer bridges being built, But yeah, it's quite a difference. And from a financing standpoint these days, now it's federal funding and some funding from the state, whereas this is a bridge. Tolling is becoming more of a future of infrastructure, but this bridge, the money is already there, and we have a budget that we're working from, and it's our anticipation that the complete demolition all the way down, as we talk with our environmental regulatory agencies to say as if it was never there, is within the current budget that we have.
That's pleasing for the city and for our citizens.
Yes.
Now, before we close this segment, I was going to ask you that you were here when we had the final car across the bridge. And
yes.
Again, our citizens are very vocal. They just didn't want the bridge to close to traffic and then wait for the new bridge to open. So on July 23rd, It was a Sunday, and we decided being WSDOT decided that was the day we needed to close and prep for that next Monday. Are you on schedule? Are you a little behind schedule? Or with that closing date, is everything moving around smoothly?
We're on the same schedule that we were back then. Our anticipated date that we advertised back then was November 10th. And as we look at the calendar now, I think we're still on target for November 10th to be completely open, traffic-free moving. Now, of course, the project won't be done because once the bridge opens to traffic, or maybe even a little before, we'll start then demolishing the old bridge.
Correct.
So we want to focus our energies on getting traffic back on. I mean, it's been an impact to the public. We did scale back as much as we possibly could. As far as the closure of the bridge was going to be closed for up to 4 months, starting July 24th. And now we think middle of November will be done, so maybe we'll do it in 3.5 months. The advantage of that was it has been open the rest of the time. We've had some 24-hour closures here and there because we had to, but I think the efforts made by WSDOT and working with the city and making a plan that could work and balancing those needs of the project and getting done as fast as we can at lowest cost with the needs of the businesses and the public, I think it's worked really well. So our energy now is get that bridge back open, get people moving again, then start worrying about taking the old one down.
We didn't know if the bridge would open before 2012, so we're pretty excited about this November date. And I think the pedestrians and bikes that are still using it, we know that on weekends people like to come and survey. Our location here at the boat shed, people have come down not only to have happy hour or to have lunch or dinner, but they're watching all the things that you're doing on the bridge. So it's been witnessed by lots of our citizens.
And it's been a very good partnership with the city and some of the technical aspects of it. But the community has been involved, and from day one, I made it our position and that of my team. Anyone stops by and wants to talk to you, give them a couple minutes. We still have our work to do, but we want to be part of the community, not just in here and then leave. And so my office number has been out there, my email, I respond personally to emails itself. And we've had quite a few people that will come up and say, we watched the bridge, we loved it. What are you doing? And you're hanging this big thing out there, and you just try and explain what's going on. But yeah, I think it's been a really good overall event for a lot of people in the community, and I'm happy. I mean, where we are now, and looking at an opening date in the second week in November is a great success for us.
I think it's a great success. And we want to continue the conversation a little bit more about the construction itself. I want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
What a treat to have you. And he is available. Jeff Cook with WSDOT. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
I am Renee Parr. I work at Parr Auto Group in Bremerton, and I'm the Internet Sales Manager. Parr Ford is a family-owned car dealership that started in 1983. In 2001, we moved up to our new facility over here on the freeway, and we've been here ever since. I think my dad's hopes and goals for Parr Ford is just to keep giving our customers a great experience that makes them want to come back and see us again. And we do that by creating a relationship with our customers that is based on honesty and respect. The Parr Auto Group staff is great because they're the best in the business. They know our product inside and out. They give their customers a great experience when they come in. We're also here after the sale. We're very open about if you have a question when you get home, call us up, stop in and get a cup of coffee, whatever we need to do to make your experience fantastic. I work for Parr Ford because personally I love spending time with my dad. I think he's a great person to work for. I work here because I enjoy my job. I get to interact with our customers and our staff. I've known a lot of our staff since I was 15 years old. There's nowhere else I'd rather be working. My hopes and goals for Parr Ford is just to keep giving our customers a great experience and keep making them want to come back and buy some cars from us. If you want to learn more about the Parr Auto Group, go to www.parauto.com, or you can pop in and visit us.
Welcome back to Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Lent. We're on location at the Boat Shed Restaurant in downtown Manette, and as you might hear in the background, we're at lunch hour, so the patrons are here as well as this video. I have a special guest on this segment of the program, and it's Bob Edwards. He's with Manson Construction, a well-known name in the bridge construction, and we're going to learn a little bit about him and about the construction of our Manette Bridge. Bob, how long have you been in constructing bridges?
Well, I've been with Manson for almost 50 years, and so it's a family-owned business and been around for about 107 years. I'm a second generation. We have a third generation of Edwards working here. And this contract is slightly different because this is a joint venture. This is Mowat, a joint venture on this bid, and we were the successful low bidder.
Absolutely, and we appreciate that. In this economic time, we thought we had more money set aside, but we were able to do exactly what we needed within your bid. Now, I think the state's very lucky in the city of Bremerton because you were on the project to replace that bridge in Minneapolis. Could you tell us a little bit about the details on that bridge?
So we were in a joint venture with Flatiron Construction back in Minneapolis. It was a very special bridge because it collapsed and they had 13 deaths in that bridge. So it was a very tight time frame. We rebuilt the whole bridge in a year from when we arrived on site. And it was a tremendous project. We worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And at one point we had over 600 people on the payroll on that project. So quite a bit of community involvement and community outreach in that project, which I very much enjoyed back there. I was the assistant project manager and did a lot of that. And so this bridge feels somewhat the same, not a collapse, nobody dying, but it's very involved with the community, and that is something I do like.
How many bridges has your company, Manson, built, or how many states have you been in? Most of them?
Well, we're marine contractors, so most of ours we're the water side. So Washington, Oregon, California, Hawaii, Alaska. We've worked almost all over the world with some of our equipment, but in building bridges, mainly on the West Coast, Alaska, all the way to Mexico, and out in Hawaii. We built the Ford Island Bridge in Hawaii also.
It's a different when you're doing the water side of it, because we know the construction when they're pouring cement, but you had some unique things that you were doing. We watched from my office, in fact, where you had the cement that actually went into your framing. You didn't use pile drivers, so you had some new techniques that weren't as bothersome to the citizens. Describe a little bit about how you did this with vibration rather than with pile driving.
So in today's world, we have to be very conscious about the water and the mammals and fish that are in the water. And our permit with the state required us to do some specialized things. One of the things we did to really reduce the impact on the marine side is to use vibration, big hammers. It was called the King Kong. And we drove 12-foot diameter casings about 10 foot deep into the glacial till, and then drilled shafts down below that inside, so none of that water the mud or anything would come up into the Washington Narrows here. And that was very successful for us. We did one of those a week.
And that's the reason for our nighttime closures. I know the inconvenience to some of our passengers, some of the people that had to cross the bridge, but it made it possible for you to be as environmentally friendly and to get the job done. You're on time. I think it's amazing that you're going to be right on schedule.
Well, we worked very hard with that, and with our partner with Washington State and the city, things have gone quite well for us, and we're very pleased with the partnership that we've had here and how well that's worked for us.
How many crew members do you have, Bob, that are working both with Mowat and Manson?
So the largest force we had was 55. We're down now to just over 30. We have lots of subcontractors at the moment. We're working with all the civil work up on both intersections, so we have many utilities and the city being involved on both ends to get in, and we're actually going to pave, weather permitting, we're going to pave the intersection on the Manette side, on the roundabout, on Monday.
On Monday. So the roundabout might be completed when?
Well, it'll still be quite a while because we do have to wreck the old bridge and get the old abutments out before we can actually complete the whole structure up there. We've got dirt work to do, landscaping to do, all that sort of thing where the old bridge sat. So to say we're done with the intersection, we'll have traffic back at least on it for the local businesses, and that will really help. And then we'll still have closures of a lane or so to finish up that section.
Now, on the design of the bridge, that was done by WSDOT.
Yes.
And so your bid came in and you took their engineering and then you were able to take and put all of this, and it's beautiful. You've added some extra points. I think it's wonderful that we're filming here because we can see behind us the abutments of, or not abutments, but the structure that holds it. And what's that called? The piers. I think it's going to be beautiful. And of course, that green icon of the steel that we've had for 81 years, I believe you're powder coating the railing so that it has a similar color and it brings still that identification to the Manette.
Yes. Yep, it will be. We also have some green going on the barrier that's up there that you see, and so it'll blend back in to look somewhat like it. But I think this bridge is, I know the old one has a lot of people really interested in it because they've had connections with it for 80 years.
Yes.
But the new bridge is really very nicely done, and I think when we take the old one down so they're not in conflict with one another, that the city's going to be very proud of this new bridge.
I'm sure we are. Tell me a little bit about some of the unique things. I know you've got ornamental parts of the cement that were embossed or engraved.
So we have the compasses or compass rows. That's on every end of every pier, and as well as some of the diaphragms that we poured up there. And I think you'll see that feature in the sidewalk and in the park also over here. And I think it'll connect the things very well together.
So it isn't, people were so concerned, they thought, oh my goodness, the Manette Bridge will resemble the Warren Avenue Bridge. And it is nothing at all. You've done some great designs, and I just think that your crew's done a magnificent job.
The crew's done very well. State of Washington designed it, with your input.
Yes.
But the crews have really done well.
I wanted to talk a little bit, we're going to show on the screen some of the pictures that we have from the original 1930 bridge opening. And one of the pictures is going to show Chief Seattle's niece. And she's 104 or 106. And the neat thing is that her fourth generation granddaughter was here at the closing in July, and we're hoping that she's also going to be one of the people that will cross over on the new bridge. We're selling lottery tickets. And I don't know if you've bought one, but they're raising funds for a new Christmas tree. And I know that when you first started construction and you had to take and get your staging area, that Christmas tree was in the way. So we had to take it down. The money from those lottery tickets are going in for purchasing a new Christmas tree for the Manette side. So whoever gets drawn, and they're going to do that when we have the opening of the roundabout. So whenever that's going to be, we'll stay in touch so that we have all of these exciting things. Do you know where you're going next, or is it always on a bid process and you wait until...
It's always on a bid process. I don't really have any idea where I'm going to go. And, I really want to finish this one.
And the pleasures that we have for the city is that your company is over 100 years old. Our city's 110 years old this year. And of course, the bridge was 80. So we have lots of things to celebrate. I want to thank you for your participation. We're looking forward to the grand opening. And again, this is Bob Edwards. He's with Manson Company doing the construction on the bridge in partnership with Mowat. Bob, I want to thank you for joining us today. It's Bob Edwards with Manson Company in partnership with Mowat on the Manette Bridge construction. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time with Growing Bremerton Together.
Growing Bremerton Together is made possible by the Par Auto Group, the largest dealer on the Olympic Peninsula. Learn more at www.parauto.com.